Today seemed like as good a time as any to try Shibori dyeing, because why haven't I been doing it all along? So I have accordion folded this, meaning it's like, you know, accordion folded. Go back to Montessori and learn how to accordion fold. And then we're going to basically do an accordion version of this fold with a triangle, and then we will rubber band it. It's going to be like the micro Shibori, because I don't want to invest a giant piece of fabric. So we'll see how micro Shibori dyeing goes. This sounds ridiculous, but I'm kind of into it. All right, we'll see. Okay, so you can see that I'm doing like the opposite of a flag fold, but using the triangle of a flag fold, but I'm not rolling it in on itself, because that would not make a pattern that would be what we're doing. And I thought it would be fun to do Shibori because it's kind of like one of the original tie-dyes. I'm sure other cultures were also dip dyeing things to make patterns, but it's the one that I currently know of in my scope of research. So I thought it would be fun to try this. Anyway, so I'm going to fold it back this way, and then I will show you when I have rubber banded it. And I am just following a really simple, basic Shibori folding technique. It's just do anything you want, just accordion fold it first, is really the first law of Shibori dyeing. So that is what we're doing. I'm going to finish and I will show you when our little micro pattern is all folded up. Okay, so because I did not remotely cut this to size, it's a little wackadoodle, and that's fine. We're just doing an experiment here. But I have rubber bands. Keep in mind that the tighter you rubber band these or press them between plates or whatever other technique you're going to use, the tighter you do it, the more crisp your patterns will turn out. So violence is the answer in the case of Shibori dyeing, which is kind of funny because they have that whole rope knot thing. There's a lot of techniques that involve rope in this. We're using rubber bands so it doesn't get weird. Anyway, I'm going to rubber band this and then, I don't know, prep a few more, because if I'm dyeing something, I might as well chunk one in the dye bath. Now, because most people are doing Shibori dyeing with acid dyes and cotton or indigo or things that don't require mordanting, they don't have you pre-wet your fabric. I think that is because they're not using a dye that is natural, and so you don't have to follow the laws of natural dyeing. I'm going to follow the laws of natural dyeing that I know them to be, because that scares me, one. Two, I'm going to do that because it seems right. I don't have a good reason to explain it, but it feels like I should have this pre-wetted and not just dip it under the sink before I put it in. If we find out that that's what is going to carry this all through the dye and ruin the pattern, well, we're going to learn that too. So I hope not, but we're going to try. This is the alum mordanted silk. And the current dye bath that I have going is a chlorophyllin bath. So we will see if it will Shibori dye this. Why the heck not? Okay, this micro Shibori pattern is based off of Arashi Shibori, which is when you use a pole to wind it on. So technically, I could roll it up onto this. There's a couple ways to use this for Arashi Shibori, but this one, you could roll it up straight and then wrap it with string. You could roll it up at an angle, which is what I'm going to do to try to get like a diagonal pattern. Actually, I think I would have to do it this way to make it go up. Anyway, I'll roll that up and then I will show you. I have the string that has proved to be inert so far with all our dye experiments. And I have a dye bath of Goldenrod, I think, to throw this into. Okay, so I've affixed the end of this on, and I'm going to roll it up thusly. And I'm going to wrap it with my string at the same time. When it gets to the end, if it does, I'm going to scrunch it down and like crush all the folds as tight as I can, and then continue and see if I can get it all onto one thing. I will try to take video. It's hard to do this. I don't have another human or multiple hands. Well, I have multiple hands. I don't have triplicate of hands. Okay, I got it on there without much scrunching. However, you can just take your fabric and roll it up like you were doing a steam bundle print, and then do the wrap and scrunch, wrap, scrunch, and that will also give you its own special pattern. I'm going to try multiples, but in different dye baths, so that we have a variety of colors to admire. But I've overlapped them just a little bit. I didn't really scrunch it too much. I still could scrunch it if I wanted to before I throw it in the dye bath, but we'll see these with the others when they all come out in the magical mystery of the universe that is the internet. They will all be done at the same time. Okay, so this one is just rolled up flat. This is the Arashi Shibori again on a pole. I'm sure there's names for each pattern, but the on a pole part is the Arashi. So what I'm going to do, I've rubber banded it so that if I do scrunch it like I'm supposed to make the pattern more irregular, it won't come flying right off the end of the roll with any luck. I will show you this when it has been rolled and scrunched. Okay, and I just learned why people use much larger pieces of PVC pipe for this. It's because I have wrapped this so tightly around such a small diameter that it cannot be scrunchified. It is too tightly wrapped. So that is why you would use a much larger piece of that to do this. However, I'm still going to use this because it's already wrapped up and ready to go. So I'm going to put it in my bag of ready-to-dye Shibori doodles. This next one, I again have our accordion fold, and instead of anything else, I'm just going to do squares this time and go back and forth and see if we can get ourselves a little square pattern going on here. So one of the ways to get even crisper Shibori prints is to get your accordion fold and then use cardboard or plastic or pieces of metal as plates to bind off of, meaning it won't be biting into the edges of your fabric rather than and distorting the pattern. So this is just a piece of trashy, microwave safe, so it's probably steam proof is the reason I feel comfortable boiling it. And I'm just going to rubber band this in a crisscross, and that will be another Shibori attempt. Another tie-off method that people like to use is to use sticks and rubber band either end while they are pinched between. And so this is just a triangle fold like I showed you before, but I'm going to bind it off this way rather than with rubber bands to see if we get a different result. Okay, there is our tied up little triangle, and you can see that it's more efficiently pinching it down rather than scrunching anything else. It's pressing it flat. So that's kind of the idea. No one does it this small. You don't have to do it this small. This is a me problem, not a you problem. Just another really simple fold style, and I have seen a couple people do this. You can either put a ruler down either side to bind off of if you want a really crisp set of lines down the center, or you can bind it in clumps, thusly using rubber bands, which is what I may do or you know what, I could tie it with cord as well. That might be better than messing this up with rubber bands. Yes, I'm thinking that will be better. Okay, I will tie this up and add it to our little pile. I have a little pile of pre-folded Shibori babies in here that I can then throw into a bunch of dye vats throughout the rest of the day and the weekend. So I'm going to continue going, and we will see how all of these do as we go. Okay, here's one of our first Shibori attempts. Oh, goodness, very steamy. These have been in there as long as I would have let them go. God, that goldenrod cannot be stopped. My word. All right, well, I've left them in there longer than I would have, so I'm going to take them out because they're definitely yellow. Ugh, I hate throwing away dye, but my God, I can't put any more yellow in here. Okay, so I already had a pot of cochineal going for something else, and I threw some of the Shibori pieces that are all tied up in, and I will clean them up just like the others, but I was going for a true red, and I think I definitely got it. That was by adding a bunch of cream of tartar to the dye bath to go for a true red and take it away from the pink, purple, magenta. It brightens it up. So we will see how these unwrap in just a bit. Okay, so for this Shibori fold, I want to get only the tips of the fabric in the dye bath, and I don't want to stand here for an age and a day waiting for this to turn blue because it's only tanned in oak gall, and we know how much the silk likes that. So I'm trying to use this up, but I know that the Saxon will get it. So hopefully my spoon, of course it's not long enough. Okay, well, this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to lengthen his little leash here, but that's how I'm doing it, to suspend it in the pot. Okay, I'm finishing off this Saxon blue dye bath by hanging my little Shibori folded items in there. I also just threw in a pretty scarf and a couple more Shibori tries. So we will unwrap those together in a little bit when they're done dyeing. Okay, so the Goldenrod is the first Shibori attempt to come out of the dye vats, so it will be the first we are unwrapping in the magic of the internet. Now, this being very, very yellow does not give me a lot of hope that this didn't just go all the way through and make me another yellow piece of silk. But I've never done Shibori before, and no one else is doing it with natural dyes, or in different colors, to be perfectly honest, so this could go a lot of ways. And if it's not the way that it's supposed to go, then we will know not to do that again. And I will find different ways to dye all the Shibori I wrap. Oh, no, look. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Ho, ho. Look at it. Okay, that's promising. That makes me hopeful I haven't made a catastrophe. Okay, it's a whole new world of unfolding. Ah, yay, look. Ooh, cool. Micro Shibori. It's the craft we all didn't know we needed. All right, so I won't worry too much about leaving them in and pay no attention to what it looks like on the outside. Absolutely adorable. Love it. Love that one. Okay, wonderful. We got, in fact, a pattern, and we could then dip this in like Saxon blue if we wanted to, if I don't launder it fully. We could then dip this in Saxon blue and color change it. That would be fun. Okay, and then here is our wrapped one, and these are going to be spitting dye everywhere because you can't really rinse them when they're on this, which is problematic. Oh God. I feel like this is going to go everywhere. Let's start from this side. Okay, I still see white. This is good. This is good. This is good. This is supposed to do kind of a diagonal raindrop effect, as though you're in like a big rainstorm. Also, I would like to say that everybody online who is like pressing theirs to get their folds really crisp, I don't know why they're not using pre-wetted fabric. It was so easy to fold it up super evenly with the fabric just wet. Just get your fabric wet. Like that's all you really need to do, I promise. It's not as extensive as you think. Okay, we definitely got resist going here. It looks like it maybe didn't get everywhere I wanted it to, but also I couldn't scrunch it. So we weren't able to follow all the rules of this pattern that were advised, but we still may get a print of some sort. And yeah, totally did. That's a cool pattern. Okay, so it just needs to not overlap itself. Where it didn't overlap itself, it's gorgeous and it looks like wood grain. How cool is that? It looks like wood grain. I love it. Oh, I wish I hadn't ruined this whole piece just doing that one little weird swoosh on it. Dang it. Okay, well, we know that works. We can do it again with a bigger piece of tube. All right, well, I will continue unwrapping these with you as they come out of the dye baths. Okay, our next couple of Shibori bibbies are out. This one is onto cotton that was mordanted with the aluminum acetate, the supposed end-all be-all of cotton mordants. I say boo. But I tested out seeing if I could use a piece of hardened felt as a resist, and it looks like that didn't work, but we'll see when we open it up if I actually got it to do anything. Maybe not. Maybe it's on the inside. This was definitely a full-blown, like, have no idea if this will work experiment. Because this is not only onto cotton, which I was not necessarily prepared for, but also I had no idea if the resist would actually work, and it did not work in the way I hoped it would. All right, so we did get a pattern. It's just so incredibly faint because the cotton is just awful with that mordant. I remain a defender of the controversial yet brave statement that mordant is crap, at least for natural dyes. If you're doing something else with it, good for you. Now this one's looking better. This is with the green Chlorophyllin dye that's made from mulberry silk. So I thought it would be really funny to do mulberry dye onto mulberry silk. Okay, we've definitely got squares. Yay! These are so cute. Okay. Okay, well, the square pattern, we've got pretty good. I still think I'm, like, literally wrapping them too tight. I don't know how that's possible. Maybe that's why they don't want you to wrap them so tightly is I'm wrapping them so tightly, I'm taking all the pattern away with it. It's still really pretty though, but it'd be better if it was like this all over. And I have to chalk that up to my aggressiveness of folding and or folding it while wet. And that might be the other problem. All right, well, there's a couple more Shiboris to add to the pile of finishes. And these ones might go right back into a dye bath because I'm not super happy with them. And this one, I mean, the aluminum, it's junk. The aluminum acetate, controversial yet brave, don't use it. Okay, here's another little set of Shibori dyed pieces. There's some plastic resists. We'll just kind of see what we got. I'm gonna unwrap them in speed time. Okay, we have a whole nother little Shibori party to unwrap here, and I will speed unwrap through this just like before so that we're not all sitting here watching me do this all day. And that is from another experiment that we can discuss another time. Don't mind my stained glove. I'm trying to protect my poor new tattoo from all of this because I can't wear a glove over it. I already gave myself a heat rash. Okay, let's record. My super-powered hand strength of folding things has struck again. I might literally just refold these and throw them directly back in because I'm just folding them too tight. It's quite simple. I'm just too mean for these. I'm too angry for this process. I'm sorry. Anyway, I think we will reattempt this because the color is beautiful, but I'm just folding them too tight. All right, if I re-dye them, you will see them in the done, but the silk chiffon came out really beautiful. That will make a lovely piece. And this also, we got absolutely perfect grid lines, but again, too tight. I'm beginning to see why I think they may be folding it dry. I don't care, I still have to make it wet, but we're gonna have to find a way to work around this. All right, we'll see you in the next one. Okay, I quite literally refolded these and threw them back in. I tried to fold them much more loosely, and these ones I didn't do the whole dip thing. I don't have more time to devote to like dangling these above the water, so I didn't do that, but we'll see. And also I accidentally dripped some of the Saxon blue directly onto it, so God only knows what will happen there. But I wanted to retry it because I don't believe in anything is a failure, and I don't believe in leaving blank fabric. That's not on my vocabulary, so I will unwrap these at speed again for you. Okay, much better result that time. Definitely need to not fold it so tightly. I'm beginning to see why people might do it dry, but I still don't think I can do that because I'm doing a natural dye process, not using acid dyes. But I definitely will fold more gently from now on. This one looks super crazy. Look at like lost color where the big droplets went, so that's kind of wild. It's kind of neat. I don't dislike it. It's weird. I like it. And then this one, still not great, but better than it was, I guess. It's fine. I still might just reuse that and twist it up or something and do another type of shibori with it and not let it go to waste just like that. Not that it's a waste, we just know that I fold things too tightly and I'm much too aggressive. So we can improve on our skills with this one and save that and reuse it. These two, I think, are keepers. Alrighty, and I will see you for the wrap up because I think this video is gonna get too long if I do too many more experiments in it. So we will get these laundered and I will see you for a wrap up. Okay, so to review our beginning shibori prints. This, very successful. This was just the diagonal accordion fold. And it got some lines from the string in it as well. Very cool. This one is an exercise in not having the right material. So I only had wooden dowels. I didn't have any PVC pipe. I now see why you want big round things like PVC pipe, because this is the exact circumference of the wooden dowel I used. And it got lighter with each revolution on the thing. So if I'd been able to do the scrunch down thing that you do on a PVC pipe, this would not probably have happened so dramatically. I don't think you could replicate it if you tried. So it's very cool. And I like this weird ombre rained effect that I got. But I don't know that that's how it's supposed to be. So that was a great learning experience. This was the one we threw into the Goldenrod dye bath while I was working on that. This is the one that was boobs from the Saxon blue. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made a YouTube short showing me defiantly dyeing this and having it turn out as boobs, which is hilarious, and I deserved it for being rushed and defiant. What did I think it was going to make if I made two rings next to each other? I mean, come on, Erica, ridiculous. But anyway, the Saxon blue was not a dense enough dye bath, I don't think. I think I could have gotten this darker, but this is onto oak gall tannin, so that's why it has a lot of natural color itself rather than being the crisp white of the alum treated. Now, I think something else happening here is that, like, when you do shibori, typically you're doing it in a reduced dye vat with indigo, it's a whole thing, and I actually have looked it up, and there's a very small molecular weight in acid dyes, like the size of the actual molecule that is being applied to the fabric. So where I'm not getting good penetration, where I'm folding too tightly. Yes, I'm folding it too tightly. I am some sort of strange hand behemoth. But also what's happening is the dye is literally not small enough to make it past some of the ultra fine woven cottons and stuff. So it's going to come out best on these rougher fabrics or cheaper fabrics, not the fancy dancy cottons. But anyway, I think we're running into a couple different problems. So how can we fix that? I can maybe fold it dry. I don't like that idea, but it's possible I could do that. To make sure that these aren't folded so tightly. But either way, I just wanted to make a note that the dyes that people usually use for this are of a very low molecular weight and are usually having acid carriers in them. So the acid carries the fabric in, or carries the color into the fabric, and also the tiny molecules are more able to adhere. So that's part of the problem. We're using natural dye processes, so they're going to come out much more unpredictably than they would have. All right, we have just one more pile to review. This is the really gauzy silk chiffon fabric, and we got some really beautiful, if not crisp, and it's hard to fold these crisply because it's a very gauzy and fluffy fabric. So it gives you this beautiful, kind of irregularly beautiful, but you can still see the hexagons popping out and the triangles and stuff. So this one I think was definitely a success, but we are still learning, and we will continue to do so. These are the two that I printed onto cotton. The only dye I've had of late that would dye cotton well was the Cochineal. This is that aluminum acetate again, which is so selective about how it takes up dye. I don't like it. Controversial yet brave, I still don't like it. But you can see what I mean about it not picking up color. And this one wasn't even folded all that tight. These are both cheap cotton muslin of the like $3.99 a yard variety. This one got some really, really perfect grids, but it's just not taking up enough color. Simple as that. Not enough color uptake. So we'll continue working on this, and I sincerely appreciate you coming to yet another dye experiment with me. I hope that you will consider joining my Patreon so I can keep making wacky videos like this for you. It's a great community over there, and I sincerely thank all of my patrons, and especially my Village Weaver patrons who are in the upper tiers of support. So thank you so much for that, and I will see you in the next experiment. Bye!